Hey you guys, today I'd like to help you or try to help you with some of these mixed tense exercises that we find really hard. You're going to need a couple of things, but first let me put myself in the top corner. Yep, there we go. What you'd like to have around you is the verb tense overview that I've undoubtedly made you do in your notebook at some point. Or if you're in A3 now, you probably just handed it in through the ELO. And you want to get yourself an assignment out there. I went on the internet and found myself this one on EnglishHilfen.de. It's called task number 4433. You can get it out yourself if you like, or you can just follow it here on the screen, whichever you like. You could even maybe do it ahead of me and then listen to me explain the answers. Here in the verb tense overview, we've got all the information that we need. And of course, if you really want to be successful at this, eventually you're going to have to learn this by heart because you can't use the overview on your test, right? So you'll have to know these keywords by heart. You'll have to know the forms and also preferably when to use which. For now, let's go to the assignments. This assignment allows us to use any of the verb tenses that we know. So any and all of the verb tenses that are in our overview we can use here today. Okay. Step one for every single sentence is always to try and find out if there is a keyword in there. Does it have some kind of time in there or some kind of regularity? And if I look at sentence number one, I see that there is a time in there, when it started to rain. We would dub this a specific time in the past. If we then look at our overview, or if you know by heart, then you see the specific times in the past are here on the schedule, right there. And that means that this one needs either a past simple or a past continuous. That gets us to a tricky point straight away. When do we use which again? Okay, the one is just mentioning that it happened, and the other is it was going on at the moment that is mentioned right there. I think here the last one makes more sense. So I would fill in we were watching there, because that would mean that we were in the middle of watching telly and then it started to rain, and that seems to make sense to me. The other one, if I had filled in watched, it would mean something like we noticed that it started to rain and then switched on the telly to start watching it. It's grammatically correct, it just doesn't feel so logical to me. Let's carry on with sentence number two. Let's first find a time in there again. And I see one, I see the word yesterday. So again, specific time in the past. So again, our choice is past simple or past continuous. You should always wonder, is it relevant to know whether you were in the middle of this or is it not relevant at all? In the first sentence, it was relevant. Here in this sentence, it doesn't feel like it really matters that we were in the middle of it or not. No, you're just telling me that there was something yesterday, at some point yesterday, you wanted to do something. So I make the past simple out of wanted, and I form the past simple for to be, which is irregular, so it's were. Okay, I then carry on with sentence number three and try and find myself a keyword again. In this case, it is not so much a time, but it's this word, look. And that's why it's so important that you study the keywords, because then you know, oh yeah, it's not always a time. It can also be a word like look and listen, which is a keyword for present continuous. Okay, so I fill in the present continuous. Oh yeah, it's it, so it is, and the ing form of rain is raining, so it is raining. The second answer here is not really a verb tense thing, and they shouldn't have put it in the assignment. You just complete the sentence because after can't, we always get full verb, so can't go. Let's carry on with a verb tense one again. I see a time in this one again. I see soon, and soon means binnenkort. So that's a future tense, right? It's a time in the future. And we have two options when it comes to that. We have the go into future and the future simple. If you are in lower school, so you're in year 1, 2, or 3, you don't have to know the difference. You may choose which one you want to use. If you are in upper school, so year 4 or up, then I need you to know the difference. The situation here is that you see something, and on the basis of that, you take a decision. And that means you are supposed to use your go into future here. So if you are in lower school in year 1, 2, or 3 and you wrote will rain, then that's correct for you as well. For those of you in year 4 or higher, it is going to rain and nothing else, please. Sentence 5 is the first one that gets us in trouble with the keyword rule, because in sentence 5 there is no keyword. There's no time, there's no regularity. So now we have to start thinking about something that's a little bit harder. We have to start thinking about use. So when do we use which? Now, if we look at this sentence, then it's about something the sun does every single day, which we could say is a habit of the sun, but most commonly we will say that this is a fact. It's a fact that wherever you are on the planet, the sun always rises in the east. And for facts and habits, I am supposed to use the present simple. Again, this shows you that you really need to know this by heart. If you have to look through the list and try and figure it out, it'll take you ages. If you know it by heart, you immediately recognize, oh, this is a fact. Fill that in. Okay. These are harder, of course, because they don't have keywords. Sentence 6 has got a keyword again, so that's nice. I see the keyword since plus a time 2011, and that keyword is a keyword for present perfect. Look, there it is. That means that we're going to fill in our present perfect here. Day, it comes with have and visit. Okay, we need to make that into the PP, so we add ed. Check, that's it. Since 2011, they have visited their son every year. Then in 7, one with 2 gaps, and the ones with 2 gaps, we need to always be a little bit careful with. Quite often they're looking for something with past continuous, past simple, or past perfect and past simple. And sometimes they'll try and trick us by doing 2 past simples or do 2 past continuouses, but nearly always you're using one of these. And that's exactly what's going on here. We see a word here that indicates that already, while, and while means terwijl. So these are 2 things that are at the same time. Okay, let's then see if there's any other time indication in there, so we know when this thing is going on at the same time is happening. Well, it was this morning. This morning usually refers to something in the past. Not always. I could also say it's maybe in the middle of the night and say, oh, this morning I'm going to do so and so. But usually it's something that you look back on and they say, oh, this morning, vanochtend, the morning that has just passed. So we're looking at past tenses, not surprisingly. We're looking at while, so at the same time. So we're not looking at past perfect because past perfect always has the one happening before the other. So we're looking at this category again. Sorry, not that one, this one. Past simple and past continuous. The question is, do each of these last equally long, or is one of them longer than the other? Well, let's read the sentence as a whole. While the doctor, and then something with examination, Mr. Jones this morning, his son, and then something with waiting outside. So the son was only waiting for as long as the doctor was examining Mr. Jones. That means that each of these are equally long, and they were going on at the same time, and they seem to find it very important that we were in the middle of this. So I would pick 2 times past continuous. If I change one of them into a past simple, that would be a shorter one, right? Because remember, when we have past continuous and past simple in one sentence, the one is shorter than the other. The past simple is shorter than the past continuous. And I wouldn't do that here. So I would say one, well, the doctor was examining, there, examine, I think I'm missing a letter. Yes, I am. And his son was waiting. Maybe you're saying, oh, well, why not past simple? So while the doctor examined Miss Jones this morning, his son waited outside. It's grammatically correct as well. It just feels like it's important to use a past continuous here because we're in the middle of these actions. But I think I'd allow examined and waited on a test as well. So if you've got that, I think that's fine. Let's move on to sentence 8, which is nice and straightforward again. In sentence 8, we have for 2 hours as our keyword, and look here, present perfect, for plus time. So we use present perfect again. I have waited. Okay, in sentence 9, we get into a little bit of trouble again because we have 2 gaps really. Here we have a sentence that uses past simple, and here we see a word of structuring, after. So after the one thing happened, the other thing happened. Oh, so we're in the past and one thing happened before the other. That sounds like I need this one here. Something had happened before something in the past. So if we look at it, then watching the film on TV happened before he decided to buy the book. That means that this one should be our past perfect. After Larry had seen the film on TV, he decided to buy the book. Tricky one, right? So be on the lookout if you see these sentences with two verbs in them. It could very well be a past perfect. Last one. There's a time in it, wait a minute, but that's not a super clear keyword. It's not on our list of keywords. This one is one where we have to use context again. We have to look at use. So think about what this sentence could mean. So for instance, in this case, because it's about carrying a box, I see the old lady who lives next to me trying to carry a box, and I shout out and say, oh no, wait. And then something with a future tense. Wacht, ik zal het voor je doen. In this case, you probably want to use the future simple, but again, if you're in year 1, 2, or 3, you don't have to know, you may choose. If you are in upper school in year 4 or up, then I'd say for you, it makes sense to say, oh, I will do it for you, because it's a spur of the moment decision. So I will carry. Now let's see if Grammar Hilfen agrees, especially the future tenses are a little bit exciting for me as well, because, well, opinions differ on that. Let's see what it says. Oh God, 9 out of 10 correct. Oh yes, I forgot about this one. Well, I didn't actually forget about it. There is this one thing in 8 here. You will find this on the net more often if you practice the mixed tenses on the net. There is also something called the present perfect continuous, but we don't really deal with it until year 4 usually. And it is, if you have been doing something for a very long time, then we use the present perfect continuous form, have been waiting. But for those of us who haven't learned that one yet, which is most of us out there, we use present perfect simple. And it's allowed on the test because it matches the keywords. And the have been waiting form is also allowed on the test. If you know it and you want to use it, feel free to do so, but you don't have to. I'm glad I got my future tenses correct and we agree on that one. That's always very nice, I think. Well, I think that pretty much concludes this whole thing. I need to do one thing because at the end of each video we do this now. One sec. Like a total amateur, I'm going to show you the end screen.